So I'm gonna look at this stream that Smug and CoolKid did. It was from Smug's stream, which is why you're seeing him down there. This is gonna be Honda, played by CoolKid, versus Smug's G and then Smug's Boxer. So this is about halfway into it, and you can go to Smug's YouTube channel and see the whole set of matches that they played. It's about an hour of footage there, which is great, and we're not gonna look at all of that. In the first two sets, I'll say Smug lost to CoolKid's Honda. I think it was 3-2, 3-2. It wasn't a blow up, but you could tell, I think, that Smug wasn't as familiar with what Honda does. Like, he was asking, how plus on block are hands and all that sort of, the basic stuff that people ask when they're trying to figure out a matchup for the first time. So I don't want to show that because I think it's not as useful to look at somebody who is just facing a good Honda for the very first time. This is still that first same stream where he's playing against CoolKid for the first time. He hasn't gone into the lab yet. But this is at least going to be the third set that they played. And I haven't watched it yet, so we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that it will be Smug having learned some stuff already. He's very, he's a super smart player. He learns quickly. So I think this will already probably look different than the first set that they played. But I haven't watched it quite yet. And then after that, Smug tries out his Boxer versus CoolKid's Honda. And I haven't watched that yet either. So hopefully that'll be good as well. Yeah, I think it's hilarious that Punk actually subscribed right here. I don't know. I guess, before we get started, I guess I should talk about the matchup and my views on it. My view is that Honda has a slight advantage versus G. I wouldn't say that it's... Look, in the context of SF5, very few matchups are blowups either way. All right, why? So Honda, I think, can shut down a lot of what G likes to do. Zoning with fireballs doesn't really matter. Honda just has a bunch of ways around it. G typically has excellent anti-air, but it's hard to anti-air the mix of jump roundhouse, jump strong, neutral jump fierce, and butt slam. I think it's hard to do all of those things. And it's certainly hard to do that while also paying attention to the ground game. So I think that this sort of typical style that G likes to do of being a neutral game sort of situation doesn't matter that much, and Honda doesn't really play footsies in the same way that most characters do. So while G can whiff punish pretty well with things like stand light kick, stand medium kick, and that sort of thing, Honda's just not really there. That's like not what Honda wants to be doing. So I think that side of G's game doesn't matter quite as much. And then G can't deal with EX butt slam. Okay, it's almost trite to say when people are like, all right, hey David, why do you think that Honda beats G? And I'm like, you should do more EX butt slam. Duh, right? Like, EX butt slam's so good, of course you should be doing it. But for the characters that can't deal with it after having blocked one hit, I mean, I'm spending all my bar. I don't want to ever have super in those matchups. I want to only be doing EX butt slam. Occasionally EX command grab. Occasionally EX hands on a punish. But like, EX butt slam is what I want to be spending meter on. Because G can't deal with it. He doesn't have anything that can... After blocking one hit, he can't parry the next hit. He can't EX DP the next hit. He is stuck, and that means he's got to deal with a +5 Honda, and that means that it's the party starter, and it's the way to maintain pressure, and that's hard for G to deal with. The reason that it's not a worse matchup is that G's too explosive. So G is so explosive that you can't say that he loses badly to anybody, because he can always just make a V-trigger comeback, for sure, right? Just regardless of whatever else happens in a match. His V-trigger is so powerful, and just his mix-ups in general is just so strong. That's the character is just too volatile to even say that he gets a bad loss. Right. So I would say that Honda controls the match. And then when V-trigger's there, all bets are off. That's kind of my view on the matchup. Anyway, let's see how it goes.
What's going on?
So yeah, I definitely like the idea of stealing as many turns as you can for V-skill. By the way, I'm going to watch through this and then go back and check out the rounds. That's what I've been doing lately for analysis videos. Yeah, you can't get a free level up as G either, because Honda's headbutt is just such an easy counter to it. You just don't have enough time. Whereas Honda, it's not that hard to set up a V-skill 2 for him. Okay, that was good. He got hit before, but that was good. He's doing a lot more butt slams than he did before. Like I said, this is the third set that they played, and he didn't actually do that many before. But that's cool. You know, give him a different look here. All right, all bets are off. Oh boy. Ooh, if that had been EX. Okay. I thought that was going to be a concern about whether it would kill or not. But nice work. Yeah, you know, I don't know if we need to go back. I think that was pretty self-explanatory round. Just a lot of good movement by Honda. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? Butt slam there. There's all these different ranges you can do butt slam, and G typically great anti-air, but I think it's just harder for G to deal with than for most. Maybe not for most. Again, if characters don't have like an easy EX flash kick or whatever, then you know Honda's mobility I think is super legit. Knocked out of the sky. So G's cornered like immediately, right? Oh, I like this use. Oh, what a jump though. Okay, that was really good D. Okay, you know what? I mean, like I said, right? The mix-ups are just gonna be good. You just can't get them all right. Oh, that's unfortunate. So best thing that CoolKid could see right now is a V reversal. Okay, yeah, it doesn't do it. All right, well, that should be the game. Or the round at least. Yeah, okay. So let's go back and watch a little bit of this. So I like butt slams. You know, I mean, I just talk them up all the time, I understand, but I think that it's so important to give opponents different looks when you're on the approach. That's true with everybody. And with Honda, the way that you do it is through regular butt slam, forward jump, neutral jump fierce, EX butt slam, hands on the ground, headbutt on the ground, dashing, walking. His walk speed surprisingly good. He's got all these things, and I think that using regular butt slam is an important tool. For a while, when the game was newer, when he was newer, I thought that butt slam was kind of like fool's gold, because I was like, well, who wants to be -2? And, you know, which is what he is on regular butt slam. Upon further evaluation, though, and you'll see it here, check out where he lands, right, on butt slam. It was right here. He bounces there. And he bounced not only out of grab range and out of command grab range for G, but also out of jab range entirely. He bounces this character length away. And so being -2 at that range is fine. In fact, if CoolKid had pressed stand strong after landing, he would have whiff punished that jab. Now, I'm not saying you should always do that, right? So it's just a mix up, a decision you have to make. But regular butt slam is actually a nice position. It sets up a space trap. That is to say, like, Honda's whole game is about spacing traps. That sets up that super well. It's really useful. Butt slam's good, is what I'm trying to say. Something I'd like to see CoolKid do, and I talked about this with him, is you'll see Smug do a lot of neutral jumps in this round. We saw that quite a bit. And eventually CoolKid did do jab headbutt, I think, or maybe it might have been strong. Against the neutral jump. Here it is. Yeah. It's so important to shut people down from doing that. And while headbutt's one way to do it, I tell you, if there's any prescription that I could give Honda players, it's to do more EX butt slam, especially in matchups where people can't deal with it. If you see somebody neutral jumping, you have an 8-frame anti-air from half screen. It's called EX butt slam. It's so good. And so you don't need to like guess any timings about when to do headbutt and stuff. Just EX butt slam is the solution to this for sure. Ah, thanks for the sub, Unsung Hero. Oh boy, you know, I actually am old enough that I could run for president. That'll never happen. God, what a horrible thought. But I am old enough. Yeah, the mix-ups are just going to be good. And what can you say about that? That's G. That's a nice little stolen turn right here. So this is, look, it's so important to know exactly which hands Honda does and exactly what you can do afterward. Part of why I think Honda is strong is that there's a lot of info the opponent needs to know to deal with hands. And maybe at some point in a year, you know, maybe people will be able to do that easily. It's not now. It's definitely not now. So if we back up slightly, in this hands pressure here, all right, then another one, that he stole what, 10 frames? Something like that, +1 into, I think, 8 or 9 frames for Stand Fierce. there are so many situations like that as Honda, if you're playing against Honda, I should say, where you have to know the hands, plus on block, what the possible follow-ups are, where you are, because he might whiff punish you. There's so much to know that I don't like see anybody getting that yet. Maybe they will eventually, but it's not now for sure. Anyway, and then come here! Get over here! Ooh, thanks for the host or whatever raid. Yeah, the host. Thanks, Tyrant. High five. Good work. Well, always, but you know. Yeah, by the way, Honda's grab range is ridiculous. I don't know if people have seen that, but he has one of the best grab ranges in the game. And surprisingly fast walk speed. His little, did you see this range right there? Look at that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Spend that cash. Again, 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 again. Oh, man, okay.
Oh, this is a Wiggity wash. Jesus Christ.
It's a Wiggity wash. Smug's so good. So let's go back a little bit here. And as soon as, so this is a back throw, right? I talked about the grab range of Honda. Look at that, it's huge. And then into the corner. All right, so +1. What's the follow-up? Jab, all right? Jab would have traded with G's 4-frame buttons in that situation. So Smug got. Okay. Let's just talk about, this chip and plus frames. Plus. But it would have been plus on block. All of that was advantage. Now, it's not so advantaged that G couldn't have pressed buttons. I'm telling you, it's so key to know as the opponent here exactly what Honda can do. After EX butt slam, Honda's +5. Chill out, right? +5 EX butt slam into 7-frame jab hands. You know, unless you got something invincible, you're stuck. Especially in the corner. But after like jab hands, it's only +2. It's not, you're not killing them with plus frames. So if Honda does like +2 jab hands into jab hands, that's a 7-frame move, it's 5-frame gap. You can press a button, you just got to pick the right space. You just have to know where you are. And if Honda does jab hands into EX butt slam, which is 8-frame startup, that's a 6-frame gap, which means you could even stick in more stuff. The unfortunate thing for G is that he doesn't have like a great 5 and 6-frame button right there. It's part of why I think that Honda wins this, but there was a lot of chip, there was a lot of advantaged frames there for Honda. And yeah, I mean, I get why the command grab ended up working at the end of that sequence. That makes total sense. Yo, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we talked about doing that with James.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the plan right now. I'll let y'all know on Twitter, but that is the plan right now. Because it'd be a bummer not to do the show for 2 weeks straight.
You said you have your cheats and all. What?
Doesn't that pressure look fun though? Like that's why I play Honda. Like that pressure right there is so fun. You just get to buttons. You're just mashing punch. It's so fun. It's the most active pressure. I love it. I like that. Okay, so rather than, oh, smart timings. Look at that, it's already down half life almost? Jeez. Okay, well there's a buff that they gave G for some reason. So, I mean, look at what G's doing. Like, if you're Smug, how do you play that neutral game? I feel like you just have to hope that Honda does something that doesn't work. Look at him, he's just kind of hanging out. It's like not an active style at all. He's very passive. But I don't think that's bad on Smug's side. I think that's how G should be playing. Which is part of why I think it's not great for him. Oh, I would have done EX butt for sure. I just want... There it is. Give me that EX butt slam. EX butt slam. Oh.
Busy Honda is washing. He must drink more G fuel than you.
Got him. Oh, really?
No.
Wow, oh, that's it. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's watch this round again. Something I wanted to point out. Yeah, it was at the beginning here. Yeah. So it was after this forward fierce, right? Forward Fierce is -4, so some characters could punish in this situation. Honda's 4-frame tools are just too small for that. So instead, he's going to take advantage with the bigger button. That makes it's right. That's basic SF5 play. If you're at minus frames, don't always do your fastest option because there's just not a lot of it. The payoff for that is not great. So instead, sometimes at least, take advantage of the opponent's expectation of your doing your fast button by doing something slower, which has higher payoff. Right? Very classic SF5 stuff. Not just SF5. But I like that he walked forward first. That was good. And then again, yep. So Smug is definitely trying stuff. It's a great dash afterward, like having seen that, you know, having just knocked down Smug trying to press buttons, then dash, steal turn a little bit. That was really smart. Here's the buff that I was talking about. That was counter hit, so that would have worked before anyway, but that does now link naturally for whatever reason. They buffed him there. Well, yeah, look, I mean, there's a lot of hope. This is a hope style. This is it's a style that Smug's playing when a character doesn't have an advantage in a situation where they just are kind of hoping that the opponent does something that they can take advantage of. Now he walks in and tries to forward fierce, you know, but in general, for the last however many seconds that was, 5 seconds or so, he's just waiting and hoping that CoolKid does a jump or whatever. And then he took advantage, right? This situation I was talking about where if you block G's forward fierce, then Honda did walk forward into his own fierce to steal a little bit of frames just for better pressure. Here's the downside of that is that, you know, if Smug expects that, then he can sneak in a jab. But again, that's very classic SF5 stuff. I would have done EX. EX, okay, well. Oh yeah. There it is, EX butt. Ugh.
Dizzy Honda is washing. He must drink more G Fuel than you.
So now when Smug has V-Trigger.
No.
Oh boy. Just hang out. There's just... That V-Trigger is so overpowering that you just have to wait. I mean, I've likened it to this before, but it's like a slightly worse version of Ganajin in Third Strike. When Yun activated Ganajin as the defender, you just had to budget mentally that you were going to take some damage. You're just not getting out of that with no damage taken, for sure. And maybe you could limit it to... Maybe you force Yun to command grab you, which means that the damage follow-up is prorated a lot, and that's better. But you're not going to take no damage for the most part. Occasionally, you attack into a Ganajin. It's rare, but you know, you got to keep them semi-honest, but that's, if I had to put a percentage on that, 10% of the time, because it's just so strong. That's how I feel about G's V-Trigger, and luckily it's only once a round instead of like 2 or 3 like Ganajin. But it's like that because he has so many ways to just steal positioning. I mean, V-skill, then follow it up, you know, low dash punch into V-skill, whatever it is, right? There's 2 or 3 ways that he can do it. And the hitboxes as he's doing it are super good, so you just have to hold on. And I thought this was good defense by CoolKid here. But that's the big concern against G, I feel, is that extremely strong situation. All right. Oh boy. Yeah, there's not a great punish for Honda there. If you're in range, you can do stand short, but that's sometimes you're not in range. Ooh, good buffer. Good work. Yeah, I mean, nobody dunks G. You can't. His pressure's... Oh, this is huge.
Nice.
He pressed jab. What a genius.
No, that ain't good.
Oh, he just got lucky. Like I said, that's the style that Smug is using. Okay, let's watch this over again. I don't know if this needed to go like this. So, the round, and then... Yeah, this is something I wanted to address, is the V-skill 2 activation, the people I've played against the most who play G, they've sort of given up on this idea that they can zone Honda, right? So the idea is not like, I'm gonna throw fireballs and anti-air Honda. It's just, that's not great. It doesn't work that well, like I said before, and as you've seen already, right? Instead, the idea is to prevent Honda from activating V-Skill 2, because once he does, he now has a forward roundhouse into being +1 from half screen, or he has forward roundhouse into frame trap that beats 3 frames and ends up being safe, that is to say Fierce Hands, from half screen. So he just becomes, on hit, if he lands a jump in, say he's just, best case scenario, he happens to land a jump forward roundhouse into Crouching Fierce, into EX Hands, into stand jab strong, into Fierce Hands, whatever. You're talking about 300 or 400 damage with that V-Skill 2 activated. So as any opponent, you have to be active about preventing Honda from getting V-Skill 2 up. G can do that. G can definitely do dash punch on reaction to V-Skill 2, but he's got to be within a certain range. So I would say the best range IMO for G to play before V-Skill 2 gets going is a little closer than this. A little closer than this. Let's see where he was. Yeah, right. So this is not a free activation, really. This could have been a reaction by Smug. Maybe he's not there yet in his expectations of the matchup, but when G knows the matchup really well, I think this should not be free. Like I said, not a great punish. Just there's not a great one available for Honda. Oh, dude, I would have done EX butt slam. I would have just. I'm telling you, EX butt slam is the key. Other than that, though, nice little frame trap timing by Smug. Yeah. Oof, dang. Yeah, what a genius. The jab right there, boy. That could have gotten super dunked. What was the thing? You just neutral jump and it worked?
No, that ain't good.
Yeah, oh, okay. So, another thing to address here is that I mentioned forward roundhouse, which is exactly what got by CoolKid. Forward roundhouse, right? He's swinging it here, and jump roundhouse falls on him. Forward roundhouse is basically like throwing a fireball in terms of the danger to you when you throw it. So if the opponent happened to think, say you're playing against a Ryu, right? You think, hey, Ryu's gonna throw a fireball here, so I'm gonna jump forward. And, you know, if you are correct, then you've jumped over the fireball and you get to do whatever combo, right? Because Ryu's stuck for a while, and it's the same kind of thing with forward roundhouse. I think it's better than a fireball, at least at this sort of half screen range, because it turns into so much more, and it turns into safety on block, and it's the damage output's better. Anyway, it's better. But the risk of it is about the same. So if you think that Honda's going to do a forward roundhouse, then jump in and bust him for it. Now, Honda has great anti-air, so this is not something to do all the time, but occasionally it's really, really useful. Yeah, you just can't do that easily against Honda. You don't get a free level up. It's the same way with other matchups too. Like Birdie doesn't get a free banana, right? Like things like that against Honda from almost full screen. Oh, he's stealing the turns. He's trying to hit it from it to super. Okay, fine, good. Okay. Oh, wow, interesting. Oh, dang, he got hit low? You didn't... Yeah, I mean, the temptation is to walk backwards for sure, but boy, the penalty for standing up is so big. All right, so... Yeah, that's free. That's not. It's just, even though the idea from Smug was, wait until Honda does V-Skill 2, then I'm going to level up. Even still, not free. Ooh, oh, wow, that was really good D. Yeah, a little spacing trap, right? So after jab, headbutt, he's -4. And so the temptation is, this is just like with blocking G's forward fierce, right? The temptation is, well, I should do my fastest button, A, to try to punish, but B, even if not, like at least then Honda has to block it. But the spacing is typically outside of most characters' buttons. So when Smug does jab, he whiffs it. And then Honda, immediately doing his own jab, actually Whiff punishes him for doing it. This is a super important part of Honda's game plan, is the spacing trap. The idea that you have put yourself just outside of the opponent's range for whatever the thing is that they wanted to do. And whether they had advantage or you had advantage, whatever, it's because of spacing that your idea works. It's exactly what happened there. And then because of that, now he's stealing turns left and right. What was this? Jab into... Let's watch. All right. Jab, which is like plus, I don't know, remember 2, maybe 1 or 2, not a lot, into down forward roundhouse. That is like a 20 frame move. He just stole a third of a second. And if you can do that in pressure in SF5, you're killing it. Now, part of why this works is that this is, I've talked about this before. Let's get a little moment here. So watch when Honda lifts his leg up into the sky. His hurt box actually has been pulled back as well. So this is going to evade most of the things that G is likely to do. It's going to evade a jab, it's going to evade a stand short, it's going to evade a grab. Now it would get hit by a fierce. It would get hit by a medium, well, maybe by a medium kick. It's kind of on the margins here, but probably by a medium kick. Roundhouse certainly from G. But is G likely to block a point blank jab and then do fierce or roundhouse? Not likely, not likely. So Honda can steal a turn with this as a result. And it's +2 on block like that. He then walks up and then does fierce. So he probably stole 10 or 12 frames, something like that. This is why I think Honda's pressure is so fun, is that he has so many looks to give you. Okay, there you go. He has so many looks to give the opponent that it's hard for them to know what's coming up next. And so you get to do stuff. At least for now. I don't know if it'll always be that way. I don't know if in a year people just get used to Honda enough and that won't work. But I tell you, I've been playing some people for about 6 months now and it hasn't, it's still, my stuff's still working, so we'll see. Always use mediums after blocked headbutt. I would say that's not right. So if you are a character who has a medium that always has that range, sure, that makes sense. For G, his medium that would work here is stand medium kick, and there's nothing you do out of that. It's not cancelable. So if you have G, if you're already in V-trigger or if you don't have V-trigger ready, medium kick is not going to do anything for you, right? You hit the opponent for, I don't know, 60 damage or whatever it is, but nothing else. If you have a strong or a medium kick that is cancelable and does good stuff, sure, that makes more sense. But I don't think that most characters should do the same thing always. I think that there's one important thing to know about Honda's pressure, this is just in general really, is don't always do the same thing. If you always have the same response to situations, you'll get predictable. And even if the thing that you're doing is good, it will not be optimal to always do the same good option. Not optimal.
I'm gonna have to pick Balrog.
Yes. Yeah, Tamich, that's correct. So if G had done medium kick and Honda had done jab there, thinking back to that space trap thing after the blocked headbutt, yeah, medium kick would win. It's just, again, it's not going to be into much damage for G, but yeah, it would have won. So I actually didn't watch the first 2 sets on stream here because, like I said, they were both wins for CoolKid, and I think he won them both 3-2. And so my expectation was that after that, Smug would have adapted a little bit. Now, he hasn't had much time. I mean, they've played only 2 sets before this, so this is not like a lot of time to adapt, but I didn't really expect it to be 2-0 so far, to be honest. Hey, what's up, Electric Spice? Howdy. Well, that's Honda, is the spacing traps, isn't it? Ooh, dang, he misspaced it. Oh, and then no quick rise? Okay, that was the error. All that damage is because of that. Did he lose because of that actually one mistake? Wow. That's the none. Oh, wow, okay. Now he could win. He could totally just win right now. Hit the opponent like 3 times and it's gonna be over. EX butt. Oh, what a roundhouse. Okay. Okay, okay. Alright. So let's back up. I mean, this is... So first of all, a couple of different decisions already made by CoolKid, who's trying to dash and then did a bad butt slam. And then this error. Nobody wants to not quick rise here. It happens to me sometimes that I screw it up and I don't get the quick rise either. I've been here. If that ever happens, then bummer, because G gets to dash all the way in and now you're cornered and, you know. So all of this, really in a significant way, the loss of this round is due to that little execution error of not getting the quick rise there. Nobody wants to not quick rise it. You just sometimes you screw it up.
Nani.
I mean, I would have done the same thing. Great roundhouse timing. Again, that round, you kind of, in your mind, if you're CoolKid here, you kind of think like, look, I know what happened. If I hadn't done the accidental not quick rise, then it would have gone totally differently, and it would have. Maybe he would lose, I don't know, but it wouldn't have been the same, for sure. Ooh, he just probably missed, oh, there it is. Yeah, that's free, dash in, dash in. That's fine, actually. I've always thought if the opponent does something to stay up in the sky and I'm underneath them, who cares? Totally cool. Oh, wow. Ooh, boy, that... Okay. He definitely can still take this. Ixol! Oh, boy, you can definitely whiff punish with that. Dang, V-skill? What an interesting idea. Okay, one more is going to seal it here in this game. The danger of this character. Oh, great block. Oh, he can definitely take it right now. Yeah. Got him. Ooh, yep. That's an OS.
OS?
Yes. Yes, it is, Smug. Here. So we'll watch this back. So, you know, good punish. There's more damage certainly that you can do in this situation, but I tend to make the same choice the CoolKid made here, which is that he wants the follow-up that will give him pressure. If you do Fierce Hands instead, you knock the opponent full screen, you get a free V-skill 2 charge, which is nice. But I feel like I usually prefer to do the mix-up option as well. Yep. And what is interesting about the difference in style that CoolKid and I have is that instead of me doing hands here, CoolKid likes to do headbutt. So right there where he does headbutt. Headbutt means that you're -4 afterward, and while that still means that Honda can play a spacing trap game, it also means, like people were saying in chat, as Tamich was saying, if G just does medium kick after this, you know, Honda has to hold that. There's just nothing else to be done. Now, G shouldn't always do that, but you know, if G does medium kick, then Honda has to block it or get hit for 60 damage, whatever it is. If instead this was hands, then it could still be Honda's turn. Just as it was right before, right? Hands into hands, and it whiff punishes the jab, right? See this? So G's trying to do something, Smug's trying to do something, he's like, okay, well, here's the thing I have. And Honda, if he does strong or fierce hands, there is a delay on the startup of it. I think there's 16 and 17 frames, it's something like that, respectively. If he does that, he doesn't move forward until pretty late in the move, and that means that they have like built in a whiff punish with hands. I don't know if that was intentional on Capcom's part, but it's super cool. So if you as Honda read that the opponent's going to stick out a button in this case, you can just continue being active and mash medium or fierce, and you'll come out with hands, and it will whiff punish. You're not doing it on reaction here. This is definitely a bet. But that's something that's super, super important. How many frames are between those hands on block? Well, that's jab hands, which is +2. This is medium hands, which I think is 16 frames. So 14 frame gap, which means that G, I don't know his buttons frames, but he could probably do roundhouse here or fierce or something. He could jump forward, right? There's definitely stuff to counter hands here. But the things that are most common that you see people tend to do are like lights. And so if Honda does hands, he can get around that stuff. That's why it works, is you're just preying on people's expectations of what they should do. And it's part of why I say that after people get super used to the Honda matchup, maybe they'll play with it differently. But the people I've been playing with still get got, so maybe not. Maybe not. Headbutt after hands has a smaller gap. It does. And in fact, if you want a smaller gap, he could have just done another jab hands here, which is 7 frames. But that might have lost to the crouching jab, or would have been close, or I don't remember really exact. The thing is, even as a Honda player, I've been playing this character since he came out in August. Half a year, a little longer than that now. I don't know, to be honest. There are so many little situations you have to know with this character that I actually am not sure if after crouching jab, short jab, jab hands, if you then mash jab hands, would that beat or lose to or trade with G's crouching jab? There's so many little factors in terms of the minute little spacings that matter for this stuff. As he is doing, I'll just get even super in the weeds. This puts him at a different range. This then puts him at a different range. Then he cancels. Okay, now these have certain hitboxes, okay, and hurt boxes. The hand. This is not what it might seem to be, is that you just have a shield of a hitbox in front of you. Not true. Instead, each hand is its own hitbox. And so you have to know, or you really bet on, do you know, but you gotta hope that you know when each hand will hit. That's why I'm not sure here, because it might be the case in this instance that the hands would hit at a certain frame such that they would beat G's jab. But maybe not. I'm telling you, it's about the frames. And that's part of why I think he's so hard to lab against, is the tiny little differences in spacing. Tiny little differences. I think Honda's good too. I'm sure I made that clear. I don't think he's top tier, but he's legit. So this, I'm almost always cool to go under. So I kind of don't think this is an important mix-up for most characters to do. This is a mix-up that like G can do, right? If he does jump normal timing, then Fierce Headbutt will anti-air him. If he does jump V skill, he can stay above the Fierce Headbutt. Who cares? Why does that matter? They are now fully apart. CoolKid decides to dash in. I don't know if that was a good idea, but you don't get positioning because of that mix-up. So I just don't care about it. And it's the same kind of thing against somebody like Cammy. If she wants to alter her dive kick timing to go underneath, to go over my Fierce Headbutt, who cares? I don't know, whatever. If Nikali wants to do dive kick to have the same phenomenon, fine. Kage, okay. I don't get it. As the Honda in that situation, why is that an important mix-up? Just commit to your jump or don't, right? Like, say that Honda wasn't ready for the anti-air. Well, now G, if he does jump fierce, gets either actual damage or a mix-up. Say that Honda's not ready for the anti-air and G does jump V skill. Now Honda gets whatever he wants as G lands. I just don't understand why it would be a good idea. I don't think it is. Yeah, right. That's just so they don't get anti-aired is what Dandy Cheek says. No damage taken. That's true. But you don't gain positioning from it. And if you think that you should delay your jump in, but Honda didn't do an anti-air, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. G is very, very vulnerable as he lands from that. So if I were somebody playing against Honda and I thought it was time to jump, I would just jump with an attack and hope it works. And maybe it doesn't, but I feel like that's better than playing this mix-up of does he do fierce headbutt or not. He should just always do it, I feel. You know. Ooh! Now this is a bummer, right? This is a little executionary error. Yeah. Alright. So he's stuck here. It's a good jump that he does to get out of the command grab, yes. But I you know, would have been better if he had done stand fierce EX hands here. I'm sure he tried crouching short jab EX hands, just got a little execution error and got regular hands instead. So that means no combo. EX. Oh, you can definitely whiff punish with butt slam. Again, butt slam, EX butt slam is an 8-frame half screen move that sweeps the floor to the ceiling. It's a huge column. So what I use it for, in addition to creating pressure, maintaining pressure, anti-airing, it's unthrowable, so I get out of command grabs with it. In addition to that, is whiff punishing. Whiff punishing. You can legit whiff punish from half screen with EX butt slam, honestly. So if G's out here whiffing a forward fierce, for sure, EX butt slam. Again, interesting timing on the V skill. It did work. That was cool.
Nice.
Serious time.
Ooh, that's an OS?
Yeah, so what you do in that situation, as Smug just said, is it's an option select. You walk up for the grab. If the opponent gets grabbed, or if the opponent texts your grab, then, you know, the animations are stuck, right? You've won the round if you grab, and if not, then, you know, both characters are stuck there for a little period of time as they do the tech. So what you can do is throw, then immediately press fierce roundhouse, which is what the V-trigger one headbutt input is. And if the opponent jumped, then you anti-air them. And if they did a cross-up, sometimes they'll do a cross-up, then you can just escape. You're out of there. V-trigger one headbutt goes the other side of the screen. You know, it's no loss of positioning. Well, it's a loss of positioning, I guess, but it's not you don't get punished, I guess is what I should say. But if the opponent did neutral jump, as they tend to do, or back jump, which they tend to do, then V-trigger 1 is a free anti-air in that case. So it's either the opponent techs, or this will also be backdash. Most backdashes anyway. I don't know if it's every single one, but every time I've tried it, it's worked. So anyway, good idea by CoolKid. Oh yeah, 10 frames. Dang. Nice work, me. So 10 frames and has armor from frame 4 until 2 frames before the attack active frames. So what that means is that as he's moving across the screen, he's not armored, but just before, I guess what that means is frame 4 to frame 8 is where there's armor, unless you hold it, in which case he doesn't start moving, right? So unless you hold it, and then he'll lose armor right before you actually do the attack. So exactly right. So as Set says, just hold it and catch them on the way down, for sure.
You did throw into the armor V-trigger. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Okay, that was good though. Oh boy, that's the first like regular anti-air on the jump in. I feel like I've seen this whole set. Ugh, stun. Oh, what? Oh, that's very bad news. So I feel like almost best case scenario here for Smug. Yes, I was just gonna say. Best case, I'm sorry, not for Smug, for CoolKid, is to see a view reversal. Oh boy, how happy is he to see a view reversal here? Oh. Got him. He did. Oh, he died. He died.
Alright, nice.
Dang. Oh, this character's so sick. God, this character's so fun, honestly. Honestly. He's such a jerk. Okay, so I think this may be the first time that we ever saw G do EX Fireball into level up, and it worked. And then I think this may be the first time this set we've seen like just a regular jump in into a back fierce anti-air, and then, you know, full corner combo. That was good. Boy, if that had just been axe kick, right? Literally, if that had been axe kick, Smug would have won that game.
What?
So now, why did I say that Smug, why did I say that CoolKid would love to see a V reversal? As you saw, V-Trigger 1 headbutt armor gets through V reversal. So you're constantly looking to beat a V reversal. And if you are awesome, you can definitely do that on reaction. I get it on reaction some of the time. Oftentimes it's predictive. But if you're like if you're at the highest level of play, then 17 frames is about where reaction becomes possible, right? It's the speed of a V reversal. So that's something that if you're like the best, then you should be doing. I don't know which one it was here for CoolKid, but it's doable. So once you're in V-Trigger, you can react to that. It also means, exactly, as Dandy Chick says, no V-Trigger. Like I've been saying, the thing that is most concerning about G is his V-Trigger, of course. It's the best. Super strong. So if you can be relatively sure that you don't have to deal with a V-Trigger G, then your ability to make a comeback, you feel way better about. Your ability to do anything, to win, whether you're losing at the time or not. Like if you think you don't have to deal with the G V-Trigger, the match opens way up. Yep, EX, right? Okay, so there is a timing when Honda can do Fierce into hands, for example, and the opponent can do V reversal, and it will be guaranteed. There is a timing for that, but you have to V reversal on the Fierce. So when I have V-Trigger 1 active, I usually, if I'm thinking about it, which I should be, but I try not to do Fierce into hands. Usually it's great, but I'm hoping to bait a V reversal, and if I'm gonna do that, doing stand Fierce means that the opponent gets to V reversal. Now they can't react. This is not you're not reacting then doing V reversal. This is I hope that the opponent did a button and I'm blocking it, and here comes V reversal. So you got to do it fast, which is not ideal for the opponent. But what I tend to do is just like jab into it or medium kick into it, something like that gets me into the hands portion a little bit faster, so that I can do the V reversal and blow it up. Sorry, I can do the V trigger headbutt and blow it up. What up, CoolKid? Nice work on this. And he tries the spacing trap, not whiff punished by Smug. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm surprised that you didn't just do V-trigger headbutt here. Like, I guess what I would have done here is I would have hoped that if I now do 2 V-trigger 1 hits, I would hope that I would have super. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that's what I would have done, expecting that I would build super by the second hit of it. Yeah, can't do that.
Jeez.
Like I said, I mean, as Honda there, the thing you most want to have happen, you would love to see a V reversal. Love to see it. So, great expectation by CoolKid. Smug didn't know, he got. What's funny is that as far as the statement that Honda is being slept on, I'm not sure. I'm starting to see things out there where people are talking about Honda being top tier. I think that is also wrong. So he's not bad. For sure, that's true. He's good. But he's also not like top 5 or anything. Like, he's very good without being oppressively good. He just feels oppressive because I think people will get there a little bit more in terms of understanding hands pressure and what to do about it. I think it'll always be good, but I think there's a little bit of unfamiliarity there. So when people play against like CoolKid, me, whoever the Hondas are for the first few times, they're gonna get hit by a lot of stuff. As I said, I'm still hitting people who I've been playing with that stuff. Like, it's still good. I think it'll always be good, but I do think there's a little bit of unfamiliarity there that's making people think that he's maybe a little bit higher than he should be. Oh, absolutely, I agree with that, 3Vizo. I feel that Honda is not only the new Birdie, he's better than Birdie was. Because I didn't think Birdie was top 5 last season. I thought he was like a good character, but not top tier or anything. I think Honda's probably better than that. And I think Honda beats Birdie. we have a really good local, well, a couple good local birdies in SoCal, and I mean, the last time I played one in tournament, it was a blow up. I feel that Honda does really well in that matchup, really well. Yeah, I think that's a rough matchup for Birdie, because I think that Honda does like most of what Birdie wants to do, but better. Yeah, dude, Smug. I mean, exactly right. Like he's definitely a scary corner character. The thing is that typically he's not dealing a ton of damage in most of that pressure. Now, max damage Honda is one of the best. His max damage stuff is super strong and legit. But it's not normally what he gets, of course, right? Mostly what he's getting is like maybe a stand fierce into hands, which is 100, 150 damage or something. Maybe it's 3 hits of jab hands, which is, I think it's not 100. I think it's less than that. Well, I already have the frame data up, so I'm going to look it up right now, and it is 100 damage exactly. Okay, so usually that's like the kind of damage he's getting in that corner pressure. His command grab is not a lot either. What is it, like 150 or something? Sumo smash. Oh, I'm sorry, Ochio. Yeah, 140 to 200 for EX. It's not like high damage stuff, but it's all just good, and it keeps going, and he's dealing chip damage, and he's +5 or he's +2. You know, I mean, he just is a snowballer. So it can feel, even if you aren't taking damage a lot each individual hit, it's just like hands, EX butt slam, and now you've lost half life. That happens all the time, right? 5 seconds later, you've lost half of your life because you ran into like 3 hands. You know, I mean, that's, each individual one is not a lot, but it adds up very fast. Anyway, in conclusion, no, hands to hands is definitely real. It's just a mix-up, that's all. So don't say that it's not real. It's just a mix-up. I mean, I've been going over this, but boy, there's so many little situations where even as the Honda player, there's so many little variables that it's hard to know what the outcome of any one thing is going to be. But I already showed, right, how if Honda does jab hands, and then the opponent's like, okay, well, this isn't free pressure, so I'm going to do a button afterward. If Honda does strong or fierce hands, then he will actually whiff punish that button, usually. If the opponent likes to do things like, okay, well, fine, if I can't do jab after blocking jab hands, maybe I'll do like fierce to blow up Honda's strong hands. Okay, that will probably work. But then jab hands into jab hands is going to work. So it's just a series of mix-ups. I mean, it's legit. You just got to guess. It's good. It's not free. There's no one solution. No one solution. It's just a little rock, paper, scissors situation. That's all. That's all. And as CoolKid just said, you have to make sure that you're throwing different looks at the opponent constantly. That's how it is for every single character. This is not a Honda exclusive thing, but Honda has so many different things he could be doing. And that's why his pressure works. In fact, the interplay of hitboxes versus different characters matters. So, you know, as I was discussing and analyzing the little jab hands into... Was it jab hands into jab hands? Now I even forget what the situation was, but... Anyway, when I was talking about the fact that each hit of the hands is its own hitbox, it's not a wall of continuous hitbox, it's a hit. And so there are these little frames in there where the opponents can hit you, and the hands are doing this in the hitbox, right? So it's a little higher, like it's the different spots. Well, some characters can poke under, and some characters cannot. And if one character's 3-frame tool is a crouching short versus a standing jab, those are 2 different things, and the opponents have to know the interplay of where their fast button is, honestly, on screen, which hitbox it's going to have, where the hitbox is. There's so much to know about how to deal with Honda's pressure, and that's part of why the pressure works. Just as in the neutral game, if you can throw 10 things at the opponent that they have to keep track of, it's hard to keep track of every single one. And that's why characters who have great neutral games are part of why they're good. Think about like Akuma previously, right? You got to keep track of fast walk speed, great whiff punishers, EX demon flip, fireball, air fireball, you know, ton of things, right? And that's part of why his footsies were so good, because he could throw so many different things at you. That's how Honda's pressure is. Yes, each of them has a counter, but there's so many things that you could be doing, and you got to know so much about each individual situation that it's unlikely in the heat of the moment that you're going to know exactly what the right counter is. That's it. All right, well, I guess that was a 3-0 versus the G. Like I said, I watched the third set here because I kind of thought I expected it to be closer. The previous two sets, if you go back and watch on your own, were both 3-2, I think, that CoolKid won. So those were a little closer.
Definitely gonna go on the bad.
Now, find a new rival.
And then I think this is now where Boxer comes in. I haven't watched this.
He's gonna make Evo top 8 again. Let's not forget, he did make top 8 Evo. Let's not forget who CoolKid is.
That's true. That's a good point. Let me take a quick break to refill my water bottle, and then we'll watch the Bison set here. Or whatever this character is called. What are you, Boxer? Be back in a sec.